So friends, this absurd Donald Trump Pam Bondi reality show continues. This transparent attempt to try to fool the gullible continues. And now we're told there is potentially a big reveal coming with headlines that now scream, Trump administration considering releasing transcript of DOJ's interview with Ghislaine Maxwell. Why might Donald Trump's DOJ be considering releasing the interview transcript between Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney Todd Blanche and convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell? Well, how about this headline? Ghislaine Maxwell told DOJ Trump never did anything concerning around her. And friends, they expect us to believe convicted child sex trafficker and indicted perjurer Ghislaine Maxwell? Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, Donald Trump and Pam Bondi continue to re-victimize Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's victims with this stupid and transparent game of cover-up they're playing. They're going to urge the American people to believe the word of Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted sex trafficker of children and an indicted perjurer who lied to protect Jeffrey Epstein and to protect herself. Believe her when she says Donald Trump is as pure as the driven snow. Believe her when she refuses to implicate or incriminate the man who holds the keys to her jail cell in his hands in the form of a presidential pardon. Believe her? Let's start with the new reporting. This from ABC News. Headline, Ghislaine Maxwell told DOJ Trump never did anything concerning around her. The Trump administration is considering releasing transcripts of the interview with Maxwell. And that article begins. During her 9 hours speaking with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, yes, Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney, last month, Ghislaine Maxwell said nothing during the interview that would be harmful to President Donald Trump, telling Blanche that Trump had never done anything in her presence that would have caused concern, according to sources familiar with what Maxwell said. The Trump administration, meanwhile, is considering publicly releasing the transcripts from the interview. Multiple sources familiar with the internal discussions told ABC News. Maxwell's meeting with Blanche took place for 9 hours over 2 days. There is also an audio recording of the interview, the sources said, but it's not clear whether the administration plans to release the audio to accompany any public release of the transcript. The public release of the transcripts could come as soon as this week, the sources said. Maxwell, an associate of the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, was convicted of sex trafficking and other charges and sentenced to 20 years in prison in 2022, which she was serving at a federal prison in Tallahassee, Florida, until her recent move to a more relaxed federal prison camp in Texas. She is appealing her conviction to the U.S. Supreme Court. ABC previously reported that it was Maxwell who requested the interview with the DOJ, according to sources familiar with the matter. Maxwell is also asking the Supreme Court to review her conviction, and Trump has not ruled out a pardon for her. Okay, friends, let's just run through some main takeaways here. 1. Maxwell asked for the meeting with DOJ. Do you really think she asked for a meeting in which she intended to incriminate the only person who could pardon her, who could release her from jail, who could wipe away her conviction for child sex trafficking? 2, the reporting is that she said nothing that implicated Donald Trump. You know what? We didn't even need that reporting, did we? Because after she sat down with Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney, together with her, Maxwell's lawyer, who Todd Blanche says is a friend of his, after she sat down for 9 hours of interviews, what did Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi and Donald Trump do? What did the DOJ do? They rewarded her. They moved her from a co-ed prison, a prison in Tallahassee, Florida, that housed men and women, to a cushy federal women's prison camp in Texas, where she's enjoying Pilates classes. And she's not even eligible to be housed in that facility because it prohibits sex traffickers from being assigned to that women's prison camp. But, apparently DOJ or Donald Trump or the Bureau of Prisons didn't care about the rules that prohibit sex traffickers from being housed at that women's prison camp. They either waived or just completely neglected, abiding by that prohibition, and they put her in that cushy facility, much cushier than the one she had been serving her sentence. And we didn't really need reporting to tell us that she didn't implicate or incriminate Donald Trump. No, said he was pure as the driven snow, so she was rewarded. Takeaway number 3. Ghislaine Maxwell has never taken responsibility for her crimes. A jury of her peers convicted her of multiple felony offenses, including sex trafficking of children, conspiracy with Jeffrey Epstein, and other felony crimes, but Maxwell has never taken responsibility for her crimes. Let me tell you why that's important. Anytime prosecutors sit down with somebody who wants to provide information typically about the crimes of others, bigger criminal fish, and I did this countless times in my 30 years as a prosecutor, the first thing I need to make sure that person does is admit to their own crimes and accept responsibility for them. Why? Because if they can't do that, then I will not hear what they have to say about the crimes of others, because I can't use their testimony against others to try to hold other criminals accountable if the person won't take responsibility for their own crimes, if they still deny all their wrongdoing, even though a jury convicted them of, I believe it's 6 felony offenses. You can't admit to what you did. I'm not listening to you about what you claim you know about what others did. So this is a feeble attempt at a cover-up. And I don't think there's anybody who, is able to kind of discern fact from fiction, truth from propaganda. Maybe there are people who are just so blindly loyal to Donald Trump, they're sucked into his cult, that they're going to believe anything that Pam Bondi and Donald Trump say. I don't think anybody is going to believe a word convicted child sex trafficker and indicted perjurer Ghislaine Maxwell says about how Donald Trump did nothing wrong. Nobody's going to believe that. Because justice matters, particularly for the victims of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.